Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica, and today I am going to give you some friends to lovers recs. Friends to lovers not always worked for me. I feel like the person's just waiting around for the other person to notice each other, and that's how I've always felt. But there are a few that have really worked for me. One of the ones that I just recently read was Something Like Love by Piper Rain. Definitely friends to lovers. It's right person, wrong time, and it's a sports romance because he's a football star and she is a doctor, but she's also very much married to her job as well. They were going to try to be something years ago when they were still in college. However, she didn't want to lose him as a friend, so she friend zoned him. But they've always had those feelings for each other, and for me, that is what makes a good friends to lovers, is that they weren't waiting around for each other. They both had those feelings, but it was fear that kept them apart. Specifically on her part, because it was part of her character arc where she felt like she needed to be perfect in all things, and so she felt like control was her character arc. And he loved her enough that he was giving her the space she needed to figure everything out. And then the inciting incident was her dating one of his teammates and his teammate disrespecting her, and then he became a very possessive hero towards her. And he's also a bit of a they call him a golden retriever. I don't really like that term, but yeah, he did not like that his teammate disrespected her. And then they made their move and they had some stuff to work out, and where they were going to go from the dynamic of their friendship to a more romantic relationship. He jumped in, he head first, and he was like, okay, we're in this, we're going to be in this, and that's just it. And she was like dipping her toe in, and she's like, whoa, let's back up. And I liked that because that was part of her character, and he was just like, he was the cannonball in the relationship. And you could see that in the earlier parts because there was a dual timeline that was told, which was needed for the relationship development. Generally, that's kind of throws me off a little bit, but I actually didn't mind it in this because it helped me understand their character growth and their relationship growth, and it made me connect with both characters, and it made me feel the romance. And that's why this Friends to Lovers really, really worked for me, and I highly recommend the audiobook. I really enjoyed this one. And this is book 3 in the Chicago Grizzly series. And here's the thing, this has Piper Rain's brand of humor, which I very much enjoy. I really do enjoy her humor. So loved it. And I would recommend this one absolutely if you like a friends to lovers sports romance. He is definitely possessive, but he's also, I don't like the phrase golden retriever, but I don't know what else to call it. So if you can think of it, let me know down below because it's eluding me at the moment. Another friends to lover that really worked for me, and this one is wholly different from the Piper Rain, and this is a Candy Steiner. This is A Love Letter to Whiskey, and this is also right person, wrong time. So it's on the same vein. I guess you can see where this really works for me. This one, Bee and Jamie's story. We don't talk about Bee's real name because that's part of her traumatic past, but he dated her friend in high school, and this whole story is told as a narrative through Bee's point of view. You don't get Jamie's point of view, you get Bee's point of view. They know that they have these feelings, but yet every time they go to act on these feelings, something always stops them. And it's just never the right time. And the angst and the messiness of this is just like so gut-wrenching, and you're like, oh my gosh. And it definitely affects their friendship which is, if we go back to the Piper Rain book, is something that the heroine was afraid it would happen in her book. And it did happen in Bea and Jamie's story. But here's the thing with this one, is that they never stopped loving each other, even when they were in relationships with other people. So there is cheating in this one. So be very aware of that if you're going to go into this one. But this one will wreck you, but it's worth the wreckage. Trust me. I am not a big fan of cheating in stories, but this one, you know that they are meant to be together. You know that they love each other. And then at the very end, and I highly recommend you get the 5-year anniversary edition, because then you get Jamie's point of view and what he thinks. And that makes a lot of difference, because you see how he reacts to a lot of things, and you see why things happened the way they happened from his point of view. And to me, that 5-year anniversary edition is the reason it was. I gave that book 5 stars. It was one of my top favorites of 2023. And when I go to Sweetgrass, I'm going to make sure Candy Steiner signs that one for me. Absolutely. So another one that really worked for me, and I just read it, was A Stitch in Time by Kelly Armstrong. This one is actually also a paranormal time traveling romance. I know. Our heroine, Bronwyn, she is able to go through a stitch in time and go back to see William, and they end up being childhood friends to lovers. She is also able to see ghosts, and these ghosts are victims of murder that happens in William's time. And so she's solving this murder mystery for a long time. When she was 15, he was her first kiss. So there was an incident where her uncle was killed, and her parents, specifically her mother, thought that she was having a mental health crisis and had her committed to a psychiatric ward. And she was convinced that her being able to go back to see William in Victorian Scotland was not real. She was not able to see him for 19 years. Her husband, because she's from Canada, had died, and she goes back to Scotland. She was able to go back in time through this tear in time to see William again, and he's angry, and they have to repair the relationship. It is a really, really good story. Friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers, actually, with paranormal elements, with a suspense plot. It really worked for me. I really enjoyed it. It was very well done, and I highly recommend this one. This one, actually, I got from Samantha, from Samantha Reads a Little. She had it on a video that I don't know if it's still there or not, but she said this was, I remember her talking about this one once, and it just stayed with me. So I put this on one of my lists, and I am so glad, Samantha, that you recommended this one to me, because I loved it. This is definitely a great friends to lovers one. So if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. The next one that really worked for me is Echoes of You by Catherine Cowles. This is book 2 in the Lost and Found series. This one is just like, this was on my top reads of 2023. This is Nash and Maddie's story. They were friends. I think they were childhood friends to lovers, if I remember correctly. She left town for a while. Then she came back because she was running away from an abusive ex. And he's a very protective hero. And when he found out what happened to her, he made sure that she was going to stay okay. This story, again, worked for me in so many different ways. Not just the suspense plot, which was really good, but the fact that they picked up their friendship right where it left off. Their communication, it was just so well done. The pacing was well done. I mean, when they came back together, it was like no time had passed, and their friendship turned directly into a romance. It was just such a perfect friends to lovers for me. It worked really, really well. So if you see a sort of pattern here, it's either that when they were friends, that they had separated, but then they came back together, and then they realized that there was more to it, or that it was the right person, wrong time type of a thing. I think that's what's working for me with Friends to Lovers. And the last Friends to Lovers that really worked for me was Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is Jasper and Sloane's book. And Jasper was the adopted son in the Eve family's clan. I loved their connection. I love that Jasper was a very stoic character, and when it was time for Sloane to stand up for herself, Jasper was there for her. He supported her when she needed someone to support her. And then when we found out why Jasper never made their relationship further when they clearly had feelings for each other, it made a lot of sense why they never became more than friends earlier. And so that's why it really worked for me. I actually really liked this one. I know not everybody did. She was a runaway bride, and I also liked that part. And I loved how he gave into his feelings for Sloane's, and that's when things really turned into more between the two of them. It worked for me. I loved it. So anyways, those are some of the Friends to Lovers books that really worked for me. Let me know if you have any suggestions down below for me, because I'm always looking for new recommendations. And if you made this far in this video, please leave me a blue heart emoji. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye!